You might be wondering if you should raise your liability limits on your auto insurance. And in this week's video, I'm going to break it down for you and show you exactly what to do. Hey everybody, my name is Patrick McBride, agency owner here with the McBride Agency. And in this week's video, I want to talk to you about whether or not you should raise your liability limits. A lot of people seem to be a little unsure about this, so I want to clear some things up and make sure you know exactly what to do. Whether or not you're a new driver or you've been behind the wheel for years, one of the most important decisions you can make for your auto insurance is how high your liability limits are. After all, nobody plans on getting into an accident, but if you do cause one, you're going to be glad you had adequate coverage. But liability insurance, or your liability limits, actually pay for the medical bills or damage to other cars if you cause an accident. It doesn't, however, cover any damage to your car. You can choose from different levels of coverage, but we don't recommend anything less than 100, 300, 100 coverage. Now, this is broken down by bodily injury per person, bodily injury per accident, and property damage liabilities, meaning that you'd have $100,000 for coverage for bodily injury per person, no more than $300,000 in total for that bodily injury per accident. You'd also have up to an additional $100,000 for property damage liability. I'm gonna go more in depth on this in just a minute, but I do want to mention combined single limits. These policies are also available and may offer more protection than the split limit policies. I always recommend that you should buy as much car insurance as you can afford in order to protect yourself financially. There are a few key reasons why liability limits are so important. First and foremost, it can help keep you financially afloat if you cause an accident and you're sued as a result. A single car accident can cost tens of thousands of dollars in damage. And that's not even considering any medical bills or lost wages, or if the other driver sues you and they win. Your liability limits aren't high enough to cover the cost of the damages. You're gonna be on the hook for paying the difference between those totals and what your policy maximum was out of your pocket. And if the costs do exceed these limits, you could end up losing your home, retirement savings, or other assets. In short, it is not worth the risk to be underinsured. So, Patrick, how much coverage do I need? Not so simple of a question. As we mentioned earlier, we generally recommend that drivers carry at least 100, 300, 100 in liability coverage. What does that actually mean? So the first number, in this case, is 100. That actually refers to the maximum amount your policy will pay out per person for any bodily injury resulting from an accident that you caused. So if my wife and I are injured in an accident where you're the driver and each of us incurs $50,000 in medical bills, your policy would pay out a total of $100,000, each person paying $50,000. The second number is 300. That's the maximum your policy will pay out for bodily injury. Just imagine we had our kids with us in the car. The policy will pay out no more than $100,000 per person and a total of $300,000. All four of our kids are in the car, $50,000 per person times 6 people. You kind of see where we're going here. Now the third number, also 100, refers to property damage coverage, meaning it's the most your insurer or your carrier will pay for the repair or replacement of another person's vehicle or other property. Think their car, if they hit a fence, a guardrail, or telephone pole. Any of that's damaged by an accident you caused. Now some notes here. Some states do require drivers to carry additional types of insurance like uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage or personal injury protection. Be sure to talk to your agent or check with your state's requirements before buying your policy. No one ever wants to get into an accident, but if you do cause one, you don't have enough liability insurance or any at all, you're gonna find yourself facing some severe financial trouble. This is why it is so important to make sure that you have adequate coverage before hitting the road. Ultimately, how much car insurance you buy is completely up to you. Just be sure to factor in what assets you're willing to risk losing if things go wrong. Now, if you have any questions about your current coverages, please schedule a call with our team using the links below, even if you're not currently a client of the McBride Agency.